This mutation is called Endless Sparkles and it is being played on minor evacuation. We have two mutators active. We have alien incubation and we have self-destruction. So this mutator set individually is not that bad, and even when they are combined, it is definitely manageable. But this mission requires a lot of sustained damage, and there is a lot of infested that spawn to attack the ships, and that is where things can get absolutely chaotic. The infested will spawn broodlings when they die, and the broodlings will also detonate with self-destruction when they are killed off. So there is a lot of damage that Amon is able to produce as you are getting attacked on these evacuation ships. The other thing to also note is that self-destruction does affect the evacuation ships, so not only do you have to keep these units off your army, but you also have to keep them off the evacuation ship, because the evacuation ship will die if it takes too much damage. And the self-destruction actually does an insane amount of damage when you have so many broodlings on the map. So we'll have a look at the production here for the players. We have Tychus on the way, as usual, and Raynor is going for a few barracks here, and he's already put down an extra command center. So building up this command center is going to be a little bit beneficial for Raynor. It'll allow him to prop up his economy in the early stages of the game, while Tychus goes ahead and deals with it. And as we can see here, we have a fixer's safe house on this side, and some of you might be knowing what is coming up. It is a very, very legendary character that is on the way here for Tychus, and you'll see that Tychus will pop up over here, and his best buddy is on the way. There we go. Nikara is out here, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this replay. It shows you that Nikara is actually useful on certain missions, and especially if you're dealing with mutations. So in this case, the goal of Nikara here is just to be able to avoid like a lot of units being killed off by the self-destruction. See, Nikara's heal is really powerful, but when you have Nikara in the mix here, Tychus is actually pretty much invincible. If he takes too much damage from the self-destruction, he will get picked off. But Nikara's heals are really, really strong, and that Nikara is able to provide the army with a lot of sustain, and it's going to be very useful for Tychus and the crew once he actually starts to ramp up here. So Tychus is already building double engineering bay. Double engineering bays are going to be providing the armor and the health upgrades here. Now, the one thing to note about Nikara is the Procyon Twin Heal Beam upgrade, I think, is the one that allows Nikara to heal 2 targets at once. It no longer affects Nikara, so she cannot heal herself anymore, which is one of the significant nerfs to her. Before, she could actually heal herself as long as she was healing another unit. So Nikara here will not be able to heal herself, which, as I said, is a significant reduction in the power spike here. The Shredder Grenade gets thrown over here to aggro the Aberration, and now Nikara and the Medic are healing Tychus both at the same time. And yeah, Nikara's in the back, Tychus on the front here, and as you can see here, Raynor is trying very, very hard to keep his army alive. Tychus is, being able to, because of the heal from Nikara, he's able to just sit and eat up these self-destructions as long as it's not too bad. But as you can see, if there is a large wave of broodlings that attack him, his HP will drop a little bit, and that is significant. It's very, very important to note here. Nikara is going over here to heal as well some of Raynor's Marines, but overall, reasonably well held here with the players. Raynor on this side is already putting down another command center, so and he's also putting down a factory, which is very indicative of the kind of play that Raynor will be doing. There's a bunch of infested units over there. A few Marines get picked off. A bunch of Marines get picked off here. Nikara, unfortunately, doesn't have enough heal to be able to keep healing all these units. And as you can see here, lots of infested units, lots of broodlings coming in. See, Tychus' HP just dropped to about 50%. There's a burst heal from Nikara, and Tychus has to move out of the way because he unfortunately cannot tank the damage. Tychus is actually not being microed here intentionally, just to soak up some of these infested. You do not want the ship taking damage, and you do not want to be fighting right next to the ship, because as you can see, the explosion radius of the self-destruction is fairly large. And if you are standing next to the ship and the explosions go off, the ship will be taking damage, and you want to avoid that. So Tychus moving out in front and not being microed back is very, very intentional part of the play over here. We can see there are a bunch of broodlings here, and this is one of the other things to also note about this mutation, which makes it a little bit difficult, is if you end up killing a bunch of broodlings and the broodlings cannot fight back, they will be given an attack command towards your base, and that will be very, very problematic because, again, they will deal a lot of damage, and when you kill them, they will also deal damage on death. So you can see here Tychus has already built a command center and started to build up some SCVs. He's just waiting to clear out this expansion area before they go ahead and capture and put the expansions down. So you can see here that Nikara and Tychus are pushing forward here. Now there is an attack wave that is making its way towards this evacuation ship, so both the commanders will be a little bit pressed for time as they try and clean up this side. There is a bunker here. That's probably the more difficult structure to clear, so Tychus is focusing that down. Once this bunker goes down, pretty much all the other structures can be cleaned up by a bunch of Marines. There are very few infested units on that side. And yeah, there we go. So, so far, a total of 34 Marines have been lost and 3 medics. So, not terrible losses given the fact that you are dealing with a very difficult mutator set, but overall reasonably okay. And now we have Blaze out, and Blaze is is one of the most powerful choices you can go on this mission in general, but given that there's alien incubation, it's going to be even better because Blaze's fire can chain to other infested units, and as soon as the broodlings spawn, he can actually burn those broodlings up as well. So focusing on Blaze is very, very important when you're playing this mission, but on this mutation, it is very, very important. It is critical on this mutation to be able to have that. It's going to take a lot of damage off your army and take a lot of damage off the front line as well, and obviously from the evacuation ships too. So just having Blaze out is very good for the commanders here. You can see there is a transfer now of SCVs, and they will be making their way towards Tychus' expansion. Once Tychus gets his expansion set up, that'll be okay. And yeah, Tychus already has, Raynor already has his expansion set up too. He's going to be converting that towards an orbital CC, get some mules out, and really prop up his economy. You can see here that we have a bunch of siege tanks also for Raynor. Mastery wise, I actually didn't take a look at the mastery. We have the mech attack speed mastery over here picked for Raynor. So these are pretty much standard picks for Tychus. And yeah, so the mech attack speed is going to be very useful for the siege tanks. They'll be able to shell these infested very, very effectively. And combined with Blaze and Tychus, it'll basically be a very, very strong front line that is almost impenetrable if Blaze uses his oil spill ability effectively. And we can see now the first bonus objective has spawned. It's going to be the Eradicators, and both commanders are going to express an extreme interest in dealing with that bonus objective because that bonus objective is so much fun to deal with. Everybody likes to lose their army to those Eradicators over there. And yeah, Raynor is already putting down another command center. Just wants to build up that economy now. And to deal with the detection issue, to make sure that Nikara does not get focus fire down, we have Sirius out. And Sirius will be able to deal with Banshees that will be coming up from this side and start harassing this ship. As you can see here, both the commanders are stalling this evacuation ship as much as possible. The evacuation ship launches, or it panic launches at 12 minutes. So Tychus is now going to cap this with 5 seconds left to spare. And this will provide a 2-second timer, or a 2-minute timer onto the evacuation ship rather than being forced launched, which does delay the infested. It does delay the order of the ships a little bit, but what it can cause is some of the other evacuation ships will start getting attacked by Amon's forces. So it just messes with the timings a little bit if you make the ships panic launch, which is something you don't want to do. Liz is on the front line now, using his oil spill, setting everything on fire, and as you can see here, these infested are catching fire, and as soon as they do, when they die, the broodlings that spawn also get caught on fire because they're all stacked up and staggered in like different HP values. And the result of this has is it allows the infested and the broodlings to be cleared up in a chain fire, which is very, very useful and very convenient here. So that is the first set of Banshees over here. The Sirius is already in position. We'll be dropping down some of these turrets here, and the turrets already have the anti-air upgrade. As you can see, Blaze is taking a lot of damage here. Jumps back, just tries to get healed by Nikara as well. Nikara is healing Blaze, and you can see here, he is very, very tanky. That there is a medevac pickup over here to go ahead and deal with this attack wave. Blaze moves up in the front here. There is a Hyperion as well. Tychus is also in position with his crew to go ahead and deal with that. Blaze taking a little bit of damage because he's getting focus fire down by the Immortals. Overall, Burst Seal comes up, and you can see here the siege tanks are having no problems dealing with the infested units that are being spawned because Tychus has happened to have dealt with the Banshees here. There's only one set of Banshees that spawns on this evacuation ship, spawns over here. And now we have an Eradicator that is going to be handled by the Hyperion. So this is the deadly Eradicator. This is the one that's mostly problematic. So what Raynor has done is he's used the Hyperion to deal with the attack wave. He's just going to clean up these Eradicators on this side. So that is the Eradicators done. And now we have this Tychus pushing towards this next evacuation ship, and they're very much good to go. Just a few infestors and aberrations need to be cleaned up. Blaze is on the front line, he's be able to tank all of this stuff with Nikar's heal. Nikar's heal, as I said, is really powerful. You can see Blaze just like, he doesn't care whether he's eating those self-destruction waves. And one of the unfortunate things about self-destruction is because it has the high radius, you need to be able to eat those things on the front line, otherwise your ship is going to be taking a lot of damage. And now both the commanders are going to start powering up. We have a few mechs for Raynor and a lot of siege tanks. And Tychus is confident now to start taking them. Unfortunately, he's not standing in the position perfectly to trigger this evacuation ship just yet, which is kind of weird because they're all like in position, but they just all on the radius of this. They're all in the circumference of the circle. They're not really on the center. There we go. Repositioning there on Tychus. And yeah, I think both commanders have their economies saturated. We have a bunch of bunkers here to deal with any stray broodlings that are spawned. And nothing here on Tychus, which might cause a few problems for him if a few broodlings do end up spawning and not having vision of the allied army. They may end up getting aggro towards Tychus' base on that side. So there's a harass wave here. Harass wave will end up being taken care of. As you can see, the amount of damage from these missile turrets. I don't think this missile turret is going to survive. There's a lot of damage output there. Yeah, that missile turret ends up going down. This one is going to, this one's going to make it, but yeah, one missile turret is probably not going to be enough to deal with the Banshees. But Sirius is already in position and knows the positioning here. Unfortunately, Tychus is stuck in the back. Tychus needs to be moved forward here, but Nikar should be on the back line with Blaze on the front. Sirius just here on the front line to be able to deal with any Banshees that will be spawning. You can drop any of the turrets here as well. These hybrids deal a lot of damage. There's a lot of damage coming out, and the hybrid explosions as well. And now we have a bunch of Banshees over here. There's a scan here from Raynor, unfortunately. Not enough Marines, because the Marines get getting murdered by the self-destruction here. And Sirius has dropped a bunch of turrets here to deal with the Banshees. Banshees end up getting cleaned up. Siege tank line seems relatively intact. And this ship seems safe as well. So far, a total of 92 Marines have gone down, and 4 siege tanks have gotten picked off. And this is where self-destruction gets really problematic. There is no front line here for Raynor, so these siege tanks are getting picked off. But Nikar is there, just being completely valuable, completely healing up this army. And this is why having Nikara doing self-destruction attack waves is very useful. So yeah, there is a use for Nikara. It's usually on mutations like this where your army is just taking a lot of inevitable damage, unpreventable damage to be more precise. The other thing to note is when I did try this mutation, I did try one run where I did try and go for the Marauder. What's his name? Rattlesnake. I did try that. Rattlesnake doesn't work very well. You need the extra heal from Nikara. I think at the end of this mutation, Nikara had healed something like 78 or 79,000 HP worth of damage. I think something like that. It was a very, very large amount of HP that was healed. That kind of HP, that kind of healing output is not possible from Rattlesnake. So it's just something else to note. Is Nikara is a very important pick here for Tychus. I would be tempted to say almost mandatory because you really need that healing ability. I don't think your medevac platforms and Rattlesnake are enough to out-heal the amount of damage output from Amon's units, let alone especially if you want to even heal your allies' units here. We have a little bit of positioning here. Sirius is going to be on this side to deal with the Banshees. They'll be attacking from here. Blaze will be trying to chain his oil spill onto these infested units on this side, and Tychus will be on the back line here with Nikara. And Tychus doesn't really need to be there very much now, especially since Blaze is there. So you can see here the chaining from the oil spill here is just causing a lot of these units to die off before they get here. The only thing that ends up remaining is the aberrations, but now we have a Hyperion here to help as well, providing a little bit of extra damage output. I don't know if he'll be going for the Blightbringer. Blightbringer is kind of annoying to deal with because he keeps deep tunneling like this. You can't really take him out even with detection, so it's going to be a little bit of a problem. There's a Banshee airstrike, causes a lot of damage to the infested here. Please needs to be pulled back a little bit. Comes back to Nikara. Goes, Nikara, heal me! And Nikara obliges. And now we have a bunch of hybrids here that are tanking a lot of the damage for the front line of Amon's units, but those hybrids do end up getting cleaned up as well. And as you can see here, Blaze is really important for that fire, the oil spill, the chaining upgrade, the extra damage to light, the increased oil spill radius, very important upgrades for Blaze. Going for those three is very critical for the commanders here. Blaze is getting focus fired down by Nikara. Unfortunately, the medevac pickup was a little bit too late. Blaze ends up getting roasted by the Immortals here, with the Immortals deal a lot of damage to him. But Blaze will be back. But this ship has been more or less saved, so there is one casualty on Tychus' side. It just goes to show you how much damage output Amon units have. Like, you know, you still have to pay attention. The medevac pickup was a little bit too late, therefore causing Blaze to get completely wrecked by the Immortals here, but Blaze is back out now, and now the ultimate tank of them all, Cannonball, has rolled out of bed, and will be making his way towards Tychus and his crew. So, Cannonball is a really good tank for the front line. If you have Blaze and Cannonball, especially Blaze with the ultimate upgrade, which prevents him from taking more than 30 damage, those two guys are absolute monsters at tanking the evacuation ships. So should be more or less invincible in terms of taking his crew once he gets everything set up here. And for the most part, like if you are playing this mission normally, you want to switch out Nikara for Rattlesnake because you don't need as strong as a heal, but this kind of setup is pretty much optimal. So going for Cannonball or going for Blaze, Sirius and Tychus and Rattlesnake obviously, that should be more than enough to be able to handle this mission on regular missions. When you're dealing with this mutation, you obviously want to have some more healing power, so you switch out Rattlesnake for the more powerful healer because you actually need Nikara's heals. That area has been cleared and good to go, and you can see here the Raynor is putting down a bunker line and a bunch of supply depots as well. The supply depots here are not for supply, obviously. They are there to just soak up damage and just keep the infested and the self-destruction explosions off the bunkers. And you know, hopefully if all goes well, the infested will die off before they reach the bunker line here. And we can see there are a lot of siege tanks on the back line here. Tychus is going to try and trigger this ship, but he's getting moved forward a little bit. And there we go, he decides, you know what, I'm just going to get in position here. I'm just going to leave it up to Raynor. Once Raynor is ready, once his bunker lines are ready, he can trigger the ship, and pretty much okay here. So one of the things is when you're at this point of the game where there's so much defense, it's very difficult for Tychus to find his positioning here. So what's going to happen is Tychus has moved over here to deal with the trickle and infested that's coming up on here. And yeah, you can start the ship whenever, and yeah, Raynor will be dealing with the infested spawn that's a little bit more spread out on this side. There is a very small infested trickle that comes up here. It's very concentrated, but it's very narrow, and that's probably the best kind of positioning that Tychus can have here. So Raynor's bunch of siege tanks can deal with a lot of the the thinner spawn of infested, but it's spread over a larger area. And Tychus can deal with the denser spawn that's spread over a very narrow area over here, making Blaze and Cannonball, as you can see here, very tanky on the front line, and they will be able to deal with this side. There is an evacuation ship that is going to get targeted by Amon's forces, but that is unimportant. Cannonball, as you can see, just being able to tank a lot of damage with Nikara. Nikara, unfortunately, not. There we go. This is a Procyon Twin Heal Beam there, healing up both Blaze and Cannonball now at the same time, because now they are both in range. See tons of hybrids over here just wailing on Cannonball. Cannonball just doesn't care. That ship is probably going to end up getting cleaned up. But you can see the amount of damage output. Like, these guys are still dropping a lot of HP here. But Raynor decides, you know what, I'm not going to let Amon even take out that last ship. We'll go clean up the side. And now there's an attack wave as well as coming up over here with where did I send Tychus? Oh, there. Okay, I think I probably sent Tychus to go deal with the attack wave. A small reprieve there, and yeah, there is pretty much nothing that Amon can do to break through this front line. Now Sirius is also on the back here. Hyperion comes up to help. Blaze taking a lot of damage, but Nikara and Co are healing and making sure these two guys stay alive. Just look at this guy. This guy's just an absolute beast. Just taking up a lot of damage here. And yeah, 5 seconds left on the evacuation ship, and there's another spawn of hybrids, but that's pretty much the end of the game, because even though there is a small attack force here, That is the last evacuation ship that has been saved, and that is the Calamorian miners saved from Amon's exploding army of broodlings, and that is GG.